И вот что интересно. Доброе утро. Сегодня пятница, 16 июня. О, вот человек. Я с ним... А вот он, наверное, сидит. А тот второй плывет. А ну, что пишет человек? I have floated north, will start coming your way. Отлично. О, а я думал, вот тот плывет, который против меня. Вот тот сидит вон. Как это интересно. Поплыли. И вот это интересно. Я плыву и думаю, что тот, который плывет вон, от меня плывет. Как вот это интересно. Это не он. Но все равно. Это не все равно. Если я плыву к нему, почему он не плывет ко мне? Одному тяжелее плыть к другому, если другой не плывет к тому, кто к нему плывет. Ой, блин, я что-то сонный. Мало спал. Надо больше спать. Режим дня. Поздно кушаю, поздно ложусь. Все не так. Надо в 12 и в 5 вставать. Это должно быть нормально. А если в 11 лечь? О. Вот это интересно. И вот мы сейчас встретимся. Человек, когда ко мне поплыл, стало быстрее. А? Какой сегодня красивый день. Все, сел опять. Уже плыви, нет, он сел. Ай. Хорошо. Сейчас поговорим с умным человеком. Спросим. Вопрос. Видишь? Он не плывет. Вчера такой разговор был с одной женщиной. Она высоко поставленный человек с большим титулом, с большим званием ученых. Ну и разговор. Казалось бы, я вот могу сейчас ему это рассказать. Постарше меня лет на сколько? 6. Жуть, что творится. А? What's up, brother? I thought that was you. How you been?
Well, that's a nice paddle. That's different.
Same thing.
It's the same paddle?
Same paddle. What's going on, my brother? A cosmic boogie. Ah! Look at that. Good to see you.
It's a great song by 38 Special, a band that old Southern rock and roll band. It goes, hold on loosely, but don't let go. Cause if you squeeze too tightly, you're gonna lose control. I stuck my finger in my bag, and I have I used to smoke a vapor, nicotine. I stopped because it was like 2 weeks ago I stopped.
Uh-huh.
I've been chewing this gum just to kind of wean off.
Yeah.
And I stuck it in and I jammed the corner of one of the packets and it just fucking got right in there. And I think it was a message from the stars that this thing right here is gonna hurt you.
The gum.
Yeah, everything like that. Anything that's not...
Anything that's habitual like this, yeah. I got a few of those. I got some questions for you. And I'm sure you got some answers.
You know what's funny? I might have some answers that work for today, but I wonder... I mean, there are laws of physics, though, that are forever.
I tell you, you see how... This is where our discussion took us the last time we spoke. And I'm making this nice video. So you see, arguing that there is no truths that are available to humans. That's what you were saying. How do we know that what I'm saying is true? The chakras. How do we know? Because the chakras, some people say I don't believe in them. I don't believe chakras. Some people say I don't believe God. I don't believe that God exists. Do you believe that God exists? See? Oh, but as my grandpa says, I don't believe in God. I tell him he believes in you. And that's already a lot. I'd rather say she. If you'd like, I can clarify the God situation once and for all.
Please do.
Oh, it's easy. Just the fact, in a sentence, just because he don't exist, don't mean we shouldn't trust him, or believe in him, or love him. That's not an excuse. But in all seriousness, if we were to think that, first of all, speaking of any religious, how do you say, deity, is that the right word?
DMT?
Deity, deity.
DMT?
Huh?
It's funny.
Have you done DMT?
Negative.
What about ayahuasca?
Negative. But I got a cool story for you about ayahuasca.
Not yours though, not your experience. I want to hear.
I have some good friends who live in Costa.
In Costa Rica?
Correct.
You gotta introduce me to them.
And they have some really serious homes over there. One of them's called Shangri-La. And when they do the ayahuasca, they do it often. These guys are from mainland USA, used to love to party with the Grateful Dead. Highly intelligent, smart, fun though. Really put a whole life into partying, big time. Most people couldn't handle, but these guys can do it and still have companies, and they're very, very, meaning companies, schmumpanies, whatever. They can still follow a line, or stick to some code, whatever that may be. Okay, so beyond that. So they, they get the Peruvian shaman over there. They fast for a week or 10 days, eating, apples. That's it, or whatever. And then and around the home, which overlooks those, there's of course howler monkeys all around. They never interact, but they know that they're all in the woods. For 15 years they've been there. They never really come out. They just go in the woods. For the first time, 15 of them, they all testify it all happened. They were served their drink. They're all in the den. They decided to go out on the deck. There's like 15 of them, shoulder to shoulder, sitting on the armrest, just watching. They knew something was going down. Beyond that, super magic, but I'm so silly.
And you were there?
No.
They told you the story?
The people who were there.
Uh-huh.
The guy who owns the house. My closest confidant, my closest brother I have on the earth was there. But I'm just glad that they didn't decide to attack them as they were all on duty. That would have been, that would have been different morning or afternoon, or sunset, whatever it may be.
So the monkeys were sitting and watching them?
Just watching them.
Before they did ayahuasca?
About 30 minutes into the trip.
Oh, into the trip.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they knew.
Right when they drank it, about
they
30
knew.
minutes later they came down.
See what the fuck? Because let me tell you, they do that too. Monkeys do all that weird shit sometimes, not a lot. In fact, one of the theories how we diverged from apes was the fact that we did some, you know, some of the monkeys were curious.
Oh, I can tell you how that happened, but you tell me after you tell me about God.
Well, so with God, yeah, I'm curious about the monkey story. So it depends what ideology a person uses. But if you use logic, so you can't use logic. Oh,
Logic, your logic, or
just formal. There's a thing called formal, like gravity is not mine. It's just gravity. So we all agree that there is gravity because when we throw
what's
everything.
funny is we've got this snapshot of what we think gravity is, but what if something's happening outside of that snapshot that's making that happen?
But true, all I'm trying to say, if you throw something up, it'll fall down. Just
We got a snapshot of this part of the trip.
all I'm saying is that things fall to the earth somehow. And when people go to space, they say the further they go out, the less they start falling. So they postulate that that's the earth is pulling. Whatever that is, it's what you see. It's
Normal, would you say common law?
common laws of physics.
Okay.
So if I
talking about
if I see how that falls, so logic has common laws. If A is B and B is C, then if all of A is B and all of B is C, then all of A is C, some shit like that.
As a snapshot of that part of the equation, we don't know what's happening on outside of our view.
Again, you can see the sophism. Not all black is black, and not all white is white, and not that is.
Hey, it's a curse, man. I don't dig it.
Because what, you don't drink sophism?
I don't think so.
Because in ancient Greece, people were making they were debating. Debate was very popular. The orators, the speakers were speaking. Socrates.
More time in their hands.
Huh?
They had more time in their hands. You know what it is? It's all based on food. Think about this. You got 12 Africans fighting over a lizard. They don't have time to lay on their side and paint. But the Europeans, they dried their meat. They could sit. They didn't have to survive. So what happened? They got too much time on their hands.
So if we could speak to apes or other animals,
Hey, I prefer it.
apes, whatever. I'm just saying that animals, had they been able to speak, they would tell us a lot of different things. But they don't speak. So we can just infer. But using common sense, that's not so common. But we can have certain postulates. And for example, speak of a Judeo-Christian God, the one that is in the Old Testament. Now, I'm not speaking of him, but if we were to speak of him, because he's one of thousands, people, and that's a very predominant God in this. This is the God of the Western world for these last 2,000 years at least, and some people say more. Jesus is considered his son, and that's the narrative. Do you all agree on that? No, but you ask any Christian, they don't even know the name of the actual God, the Father of Jesus. They know because they relate themselves to Jesus as the Son of God.
I was wondering about that. Why would they go for the second rate?
Right, because that way they can. It's a much closer relationship because he was a human, and then he ascended to a pantheon, which, by the way, you could see in many religious practices that there is a human being that becomes a messenger, like Muhammad, like Moses. You always need a human messenger. That's a common narrative.
Like
And Abraham, but he wasn't such a.
I'm talking about you.
That's right, me too. And this is if we figure out a way to make a new religion, oh, we're gonna be onto something huge, because it's mind-boggling. Because then the horizons open. Once we have a God, and we are the messengers, we cannot be. I cannot say that Matthew or Abraham are gods. No, we cannot say that. That doesn't work. Humans will not trust that. We'll be killed. And then they say, see, motherfuckers are dead, they ain't no gods. Yeah, so all the people, if you read Alexander the Great story, You know what he said? He said to the Egyptians when he conquered them, I am the son or the grandson of Zeus. Son of, I think he was either a grandson or a son. So he says, I'm a grandson of Zeus, son of Achilles, something like that. And I have blue blood. My blood is blue. And they were gullible. And he was great, he was a conqueror.
It's a lot more believable.
Huh?
It's a lot more believable than saying I am Zeus.
Of course, all the great ones. Napoleon used the same narrative. I am the messenger. I'm the descendant. I've been sent here by God to give you light. So follow me. And then in the parties I read, Alexander was telling his buddies, say, look, these crazies, they trust me when I tell them that. But look, I'm gonna cut my finger. See, my blood is red, like everyone. But they don't get that. They think I'm grandson of Zeus. So my point is, that's just a common narrative. But if you ask, do you believe the actual Judeo-Christian God exists, or when I ask, do you believe in God, do you equate my question to the Judeo-Christian God or any God?
I have no idea. It's such an open idea for me.
So well, I'll tell you, if you think common sense, if you apply,
I think we're cosmic dust. I think I go for the cosmic dust theory.
cosmic dust, but then people say, who made this?
Exactly, and that's my crux. That's my
Because clearly somebody made this.
my next riddle.
So then there is a saying, the absence of proof is not a proof of absence. It's a weird statement. Just because
I'm humble, because I know that I don't know.
okay, but not knowing or not being able to prove the fact that he doesn't exist doesn't mean that he does. Just because I can prove that he doesn't, that's not. Oh, but can you? Who did this? Oh, you see. So then, how do you know it's not God? Well, again, I'll give you a very reasonable argument. Imagine us humans, how we learn. So imagine, and this is, by the way, not even my idea. It's been postulated.
Tried and true.
But check this out. It's a very plausible line of thinking. Imagine you or I, a human being, grows up like a jungle boy, like a Mowgli, with the animals, and that those occurrences have happened. So they say after 7 years of age, you cannot teach a human being to speak. If they haven't heard a speech until they're 7, there's no way they're gonna speak. The brain is frozen at 7. But let's say you get the kid at 5, so you're still teachable, and you get him to a civilized world from the jungle. He grew up with the monkeys, so all he knows is hoo, 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 hoo. And he knows a lot, but he doesn't know humans or human endeavor or human condition. So you start teaching the kid. You teach them, and they learn very fast. So you teach them, this is a paddle board, this is a paddle, that's Matthew. You got a necklace.
Balloon goes here.
Balloon goes there, the bird goes there. But all the objects he will learn. Just like I'm sure animals have certain, and they do have certain signs and sounds for objects. But you see, so that will not be a problem. He will understand buildings. He will understand the ocean, sun. You'll explain to him. The complexities are gonna arise when you're gonna talk about subjective things. Conceptual, like truth. Oh, you can't see it. Or for example, lying, or all these good and evil, those concepts that are intimately human, and they don't exist in the nature outside of our vivid imagination. Such as, for example, United States. You could say, well, this is a country. But the kid says, well, wait a second. What was it 300 years ago? Well, it was just land, and then we agreed between us to call it USA. See, it's just a concept that we labeled. Money. Oh, it's valuable. It's just paper. He says, why is this that has such? Well, we agreed on it. See, for monkeys, money will not be valuable because they haven't had that agreement. So these are concepts that don't exist outside of our imagination. We collectively agreed to have them. And once everyone agrees, or more,
cookie crumbled.
huh? That's how you feel the logic, you see. Now, it becomes interesting when you introduce the concept of God to the kid, because that's gonna flip him, because he won't understand it, because he never heard of it. He'll say, well, what is God? And you're gonna tell him, well, it's this. You're gonna explain the Judeo-Christian, well, it's this supreme power. You can never see him. You can never even ask for, you can never even say his name. And he's there. Now at this time I have to introduce to you this theory that you're gonna love. It's been introduced by not such a famous philosopher, Bertrand Russell. And he wasn't so famous, but he made some noise. And he had a theory of a cosmic, ready, teapot. You can Google it. I don't know why he said teapot, but he said teapot. So he goes like this. Imagine a kid, 5 years old, in preschool, bunch of kids, 40 of them. And a teacher comes and says, kids, I'm gonna introduce God to you. So there's this cosmic teapot floating in the sky between Jupiter and Mars. It's a teapot, it's very small, you can never see it, yet we know it's there. It's created this whole thing. It's controlling it. Anything you think, this teapot knows. If you think bad, guess what? He's coming after you. And everyone here loves him and worships him and prays to him. That he never can see him, he can never ask for proof, he can never question him, because he'll strike his, exact his punishment on you. Now, if you don't want to, if some of you have an audacity to challenge or basically we're gonna kick you out of school, your parents are gonna disown you, and you're gonna be in exile. And no, not just that, you're gonna burn in hell forever. You'll be tortured after you die to like further death. Yeah, imagine a 5-year-old hearing that shit.
And then a black basketball team from Nairobi is coming over. They've been in jail for 6 years and they're horny as shit, and they're gonna fucking ream your ass on top of all of that.
Huh?
It's a bad deal.
So all the kids are gonna believe the cosmic teapot or anything like that. So you threaten someone, you say everybody believes it, you can never see we don't know where it came from, we don't know, and we don't have to ask this. These are questions not to be asked. It's a very fearful type of situation. So then how can an
many powerful believers are there? Don't rock the boat.
Yeah, if all these people, if George Washington, who were the founder, he believed in this cosmic teapot. If Galileo, even though he was creating, even they believed. There was no, even Einstein said that who is he not to believe? He will reserve the answer. But you see how it becomes very illogical. And once you start using threats, what kind of a, now this clearly,
it's fear-based.
So then what kind of a theory you can reliably expect people to at least consider when you threaten them? What the fuck is a threat for? So once you feel a threat, I tell you, it's a symptom of a lie. If somebody's threatening you to believe something, well, automatically you will not believe him. Unless you feel threatened, then you'll pretend that you believe him. And that pretending is strong, because it'll ultimately, if you're young, you'll be brainwashed to think, now you'll say, is there God? Well, I don't know, shit. You know, there's a joke in Russian. There's kid, like always a smart ass. We call him Vovachka, Vovachka. Like Vladimir, short for Vladimir, Vova. So this Vovachka kid has a smart way out of it. He's a smart ass. So the teacher in a communist Russia says, kids, come out of your desks and spit at God. Spit at him and tell him you don't exist. Because communism is an atheist. It's an atheist system. They denounce God. They say there is no God. They say religion is an opium for the masses.
That's the general sentiment?
Yeah.
Wow,
Of
cool.
course. Yeah. But there's some interesting thought behind, because guess what? They were for real. They believed in real, at least what they were showing was real. At least. And not that it made it much better, because their real wasn't so real, but at least it was visible and palpable. So all these kids come out and spit and say, God, you don't exist. We spit at you. Except for this kid, he don't do it. So teacher says, why don't you do it? Vovachka. He says, well, let's apply some logic here. I'm friends with Abraham. If he don't exist, then who am I spitting at? And if he do, I don't need that headache. I don't need that trouble. If he do, why would I spit at God? He come back and you know. So if you use that logic, anyone will believe anything of that nature. That's such a threat. Now, if you think of really, if he exists, God, I mean, all this has been created by something that we cannot argue, and that the fact that neither you or I created it is also, and nor any human, like there's not a human who can create this ocean. So then the question is, the creation is there. Question is, who did it? Well, some, as they say, higher power.
Or what did it?
Or we like to not call it it. We call it he. Now, why he? Why not she?
Or what?
Or what? Well, because we want it to be animate, not inanimate, because we are animate. We'd like to relate to him.
Some answers.
Yeah, we want it to be like us. Just like somebody said, if zebras wrote the Bible, their God would be zebra.
Trying to figure the chaos out, and we're going to place it on this entity, and then we figured it out, and then we can go fuck off because we already figured it out.
But see, what I believe in, and my belief is, I fancy myself thinking that what I believe is real, but I believe in reality. And again, and it could be very different for people, but for example, we can't argue about Greeks. See, Greeks had a beautiful mythology, and most of them smart ones understood that these were myths. They're just beautiful stories, though the lower ranked people were literally thinking that there's this guy throwing lightning. Now, if you think of the elements, the 5 elements, we are actually in the middle of all of them. The water, the earth, the fire, and the air. And there's a lot of interesting theories on how they interact. So you have like this cross, like north, you know, like a cross, like top, bottom, east, west. So on top you got the fire, symbol of the sun. On the bottom you got the earth. West you got the air. East you got the water. And these elements, they interact. This is, by the way, a theory of a pagan, northern pagan tradition, Russian. But it's not just, I mean, it's been discussed in many different teachings. And that you can't argue with the fact that there is energy of the element of water, earth, fire, and air. These are like basic elements of nature that you cannot argue. And the way they interact, they propose interesting interactions. For example, they equate air with order. Now that's already a human concept, but still they want to bring humanity into this. So they equate air with order. And they equate water, which is opposite of air, with chaos. They equate fire with light, and earth with dark.
Earth with what?
Dark. light and dark. So those are, and I don't mean literally like light and dark that you see the light. No, the light as an energy of vision, of knowing, of seeing, and the dark is the energy of obscurity and not knowing, and basically. So but these are these opposite poles of human understanding of the way so I'm listening to this for these last few days, and then she further subdivides it into how they further go into the more and more human constructs like good and evil. So as far as I remember, the light and dark becomes good and evil, or am I saying it right? Bottom line is, it becomes more and more human. So the way she explains is
Fire and water.
Huh?
Fire and water.
Fire is.
Maybe that's good and evil.
I have to look it up. That's not right. It's not the point. What I'm trying to say is, the point that she tries to make, if you take like religions, what they do is they like life and death and good and evil. I think that light is good, dark is evil, and order is, or it's the other way. One of them, either the order is good, order is tradition, chaos is freedom. Now that's another subdivision. So those are human concepts. Tradition, now religious practice will say tradition is good because that's religion, and freedom is chaos. So you see, well, but that becomes already a very limited way. It's fixed to a concept. So they say no. Sometimes freedom is actually good, and some traditions are actually bad, and sometimes certain anarchy is bad. It depends on a situation. So it can be fixed. So all the common religions that we have try to fixate a concept of, let's say, life and death, calling life good and death bad. Well, then everything becomes a tragedy here, because we all tragically die, which is idiotic, because then we're all basically waiting for tragedy to happen. See, it makes no sense like that. But Judeo-Christian paradigm argues that life is good and death is sorrow. It's terrible, and people are crying their brains out when somebody dies, and they keep crying. Like yesterday, a patient came in, oh, my knee hurts, oh, I'm coughing, oh, I can't breathe, oh, this, oh, that, oh, there's so many, and my thyroid and my kidney and my this. I'm like, sweetheart, what's going on with you? Like, tell me for real. Like, so fascinating shit, but like, what's happening? Like, do you work? Oh no, whatever, I'm disabled because my organs are all fucked up. Say, sweetheart, but your organs are actually fine. Oh no, but like, looks like I'm failing, my organs are failing. Say, sweetheart, you look like you're a beautiful lady, that you're very healthy looking, you look younger than your age. So are you married? No, I'm a widow. He passed away 4 years ago. And she bursts in tears. I say, well, there we go. Now we see why organs are failing. Because she says, I can't get over, I just can't, it's just devastating. And I'm like, and I see this every day, one person, sometimes every 2 persons a day. They can't let go. This has been 4 years ago. And they say, oh, I worked it out. You say, you worked it out. Have you had any, I don't want to go too hard then, because this is my pulmonary, I'm in a pulmonary practice, you see. So I started talking about the fact that for 10 years they've been mourning their husband, and they're only like 60 or 70 themselves. I mean, they have a whole life ahead of a big part of it. So you see how this whole thing becomes a ridiculous situation. Oh, but you don't understand, it's tragedy. I said, well, you know, he's actually sitting right here. And I started getting weird on them. I said, look, he's sitting right next to you. Does he want you to be sad? Do you think he wants you to be sad? Oh, you know, I never thought of it that way. You're right. He wants me to be happy. And they burst in these happy tears then. And we have this catharsis. And they hug me. And they say, this is it. The kidney's fine now.
Then they go and complain to management.
Yes. The doctor, because then, then next day it hits them. something's wrong, because now they have nothing to mourn. And this doc was weird. He was talking about energies and the death is great. So this guy is really weird. And why is it, what business does he have talking about my ex or my son? Or the best one yesterday. This is, you gotta laugh at this. So this lady comes in. Well, again, none of them looks like an Olympic runner. They all like 200 pounds, 250. These Cubans, whatever. Eating. Men are usually smoking and drinking, and they're not. These are lower socioeconomic area. So this particular lady, she was, I think, the last person of the day, and I had time, so we talked. She goes, listen, I have not been a good sleeper. By the way, I want to talk to you about your sleep. So she goes, I can't sleep. So why people come with sleep issues? Because we are pulmonary, and sleep apnea is what we check. Is when they're obese and, you know, they have snoring and they need like a mask. You heard of this stuff, right? Yeah. So, but the symptoms are different. People with sleep apnea, they have these microscopic awakenings. They snore, they like come out of that snoring situation, and they don't even know that they're waking up a little bit throughout the night, and the night becomes not as restful. We get this, but it's very, very different when they say, oh, I wake up at 2 in the morning and I can't go back to sleep for 3 hours every night, and then I have this horrible time and I only sleep for 2 hours for the last, like I did, like I had. That's depression and that's anxiety. Has nothing to do with no apnea nonsense. This is the brain that can't turn off, and we know that. So this particular lady, she goes, I have never been a good sleeper, you know, I'm very fragile sleeper, but these 4 or 5 months, man, it's really gotten out of hand. Like I've taken stuff, but I don't want to like get addicted to even like melatonin, because I don't like pills. But maybe this is sleep. I say, sweetheart, anything happened in these months? Nah, not really. Any stress? Nah. I said, well, then I ask questions like, you live? Yeah, I live with my husband. Oh, you know what happened? She goes, my mom came from Cuba in January. Oh, interesting. And she lives with us. Now I live with my husband and 2 kids, right? 2 kids. Now my mom is there. I said, what about your father? Father passed away, and she's still distraught, and she does not want any relationship. She just wants to be by herself with Jesus. So you see, now this, I don't want to say words like that, but she's whacked, this lady, because now she's still mourning the guy who passed away 10 years ago. Horrible. Now it's on her hands, in front of her every day, mourning. So then, but she didn't come alone, you see. You know who else came? The daughter of the husband from the previous marriage. Now she's also there, and that daughter is single, and she's got some issues. And they don't really fight, but they don't really see eye to eye either. So you got the mother now, and you got the stepdaughter, who's 30.
The supple breath.
And now she has, her sleep has gotten a bit more fragile. I wonder why. I say, you know what? And she was a good sport. She was cracking up when I was like, I wrote it down. Say, look, I don't think I'd be able to sleep either with all this shit. She goes, you know what? Yeah, I never put all this together. So you have a point, because I do think about all this craziness a lot. And they don't, and you know, she looks like a nice lady. She tries to make everybody happy. So she coops all of this, she holds all of this conflict and all the arguments. She goes, yeah, they don't listen. My mom is like, she doesn't want to get out. She doesn't want to, like, she sits home and prays to Jesus all day. And she like, she's in a mourning state. Ay, ay, ay. Oh, and this goes on and on like this. And then they say, why do you ask about family things? No. Me giving her a pill is not going to be of any use. Now, this has been a great video. We'll be right back. Now,